What's up? Google here. I want to talk because I seen a lady on here. A couple of people talk about power grid. The power grid might go down. That's impossible. I mean, that's not impossible, but every state has its own power grid, and some of it is not connected to the internet. So I mean, might attack the power grid for cyber attack if it's vulnerable and if it's connected to the internet and all that. But like a lot of every little city, like in Florida, every little city has its own power, like power circuits and stuff. That's not gonna happen. I mean, it might happen to like a city or something, maybe. But the other thing that can happen is EMP shockwave. So EMP, they got EMP bombs, and that could take out everything. Your car, everything that's run by a chip would not work. So you gotta be prepared for that, because if they attack you with that, I mean, think about it. When COVID happened, people were acting weird and stuff. Can you imagine a real? I mean, that was a real pandemic, but like a real bad one where 20% fatality rate or 30%. You have to be prepared for that. If you have money in the bank, you own your own house, get solar panels. Off-grid, hybrid. Off-grid meaning it uses batteries and it's connected to the grid. So if something happens, you have the batteries, right? Another thing you can do is if you're really worried about EMP shockwave, which is that's the bigger threat, right? You could cover the circuitry of the solar panels. That's where the chip is with the EMP blocker, which is the same thing as well, they sell it on Amazon, where you can cover that, have where the wires come out, and then if there's an EMP shockwave, it won't affect your solar panels. Another thing, you gotta be prepared with food, right? I'm not a big fan of like the MREs or like survival kits and whatever. Just buy a bunch of canned food. Have enough food for a whole month. Buy a bunch of canned food, rice, beans. It's cheaper. Have enough for a whole month or two. You'll be set. Now, to be prepared for the longer run, you also need a water purifier. The off-grid water purifier, not the one you put in a sink. That ain't gonna work. But the one where it can reverse osmosis, or distiller. There's a distiller that you can get where you could even distill pool water, and you'll be able to drink it because it's distilled, right? And it's the off-grid one where they're not expensive, 20, 30 bucks. You could filter any type of water. Make sure you have the UV light one that kills the germs in the water. So if you do have to get it from a river and stuff, you just gotta boil it. But you gotta be prepared. You gotta boil the water or have the UV light, right? Also, something real cheap is 30 bucks. Get Survivor seeds, right, for planting. So 30 bucks, you get a whole bunch of seeds for vegetables and stuff, so that you can plant food. Because if something happened, a real pandemic, EMP, shockwave, World War III, you want to be prepared. The supermarkets, they're not going to be nothing left. Now, we all went through COVID, and when we went to the supermarket, things were gone. People hoarding toilet paper for some reason. Like, bro, you could take a shower. You know what I mean? Like, you don't really even need toilet paper. In Europe, they use bidets, which is a lot cleaner. That's what I use. But you could use a shower, whatever. I mean, I don't know what they're doing with the toilet paper. They're all worried about toilet paper. But things are going to be gone. They're not going to be anything in the supermarket because people are going to start hoarding everything. And then by the time the supermarket figure it out, they ain't going to have nothing. They're going to have every little items. Oh, 2 per customer. You're going to see the same guy go in there every day or send somebody else. People, when shit hits the fan, people show their true colors. And it's not good for most people. If you ever see that Twilight Zone movie, that the guy, he invested in a bomb shelter, and the other people, they didn't invest, they lived it up with the money. Then when they thought the bomb was coming, no more friends. They were trying to break in the shelter. They didn't care. So that's how people will get. You need security. Now, if you're not a gun person, get the pepper spray gun. There's a pepper spray gun. You shoot it. It's pepper spray. Get some knives, maybe. Knives. No, you have to be able to use a knife, but I mean it'll work. But if you're on a budget, get a shotgun. The shotgun is the most versatile gun there is. If you you don't need a 12 gauge. It's got a lot of kick. You can do a 10 gauge or 8 gauge, right? It's a lot less kick. You gotta have self-defense because when stuff gets really bad, your neighbors turn into your enemies. I mean straight up enemies. And you have to have self-defense. You gotta have power, and you gotta have food for your family, right? So that's my advice. You could go online and get the seeds. Now, if you have money, there's 23 million millionaires in the U.S. If you have money, you should be prepared. You should have solar panels. Make sure it's EMP resistant. You should have seeds. You should have self-defense. And if you're middle of the road, you should have all that. Unless you're in a condo or something, where you could still be prepared. All right, guru out.